I want to talk to you about your brothers. You know, I was, like most of us, so impressed. I mean, I was always impressed with you as a fighter. I was one of those people that sat there watching the Arthur Abraham fight, kicking the television screen, thinking this is a guy who's been cheated out of a world title in his first world title fight. So you're already, you know, quids in with me in terms of you and your family. So, but Callum's performance against Josh Buatsi
outstanding
was just on a different level. I know we perhaps shouldn't say this because he's won world titles at a different weight class and he's a class operator. When I saw Callum and did that interview that we spoke about off camera, I wasn't sure where he was going. He'd lost to Beterbiev. It was only about meaningful fights, and I wasn't sure if he was still as enthused about the game as he perhaps was at one stage. No doubt in that performance is outstanding, wasn't it?
And listen, that was justified because of how he speaks. I think what you find with a lot of people, especially maybe Scousers, us, our family, we're honest, and you have to be honest. And when you're asking them a question, do you still want this? It's like, well, it's not I'm not in it for the money, no, but I want to be a world champion again. And
Two-time.
Stephen asked him at one point, would you fight him for X amount of money? He went, probably not, no, I wouldn't go. He said, well, you've done? He said, no, because I'd fight him for less for the world title. So therefore, we knew he still had it, and it's okay saying it. Look, I know how good my brother is. I've always said he's the best light heavyweight in the country, and he can still be a world champion. You've got to get everything right. You need a lot of things to go your way in boxing and training camps. You need a bit of luck. You need to have a full training camp without injuries here and there. The Beterbiev fight, he couldn't really spar. It's not making excuses. He said this. The Canelo fight, 4 weeks notice and in lockdown, and he didn't do himself justice in those fights. So people were writing him off, rightly so. But he showed them the night.
But I think where we was positioned though, Simon, wasn't it? You're looking at the career that he's had, and you're looking at the fights and the Beterbiev performance, and you're just going, at this level now with Joshua Buatsi and him coming through, and it's always a passing of the baton, and you go, is this perfect timing? A calculated gamble from Buatsi's team, and you go, there's a strong argument there because you go, where is Callum's desire? Like at this stage, like the best Callum Smith always wins that fight, but is that guy still there? And that's what he proved, and that was the impressive thing.
It's that saying, a crossroads fight. That was an ideal crossroads fight. Is it whoever's going to win will go there? But
are you pleased he took that fight?
I am, I am. And listen, I was not worried, but going in there, I was watching the fight. I really like Buatsi. I rate him. I commentated on his ABA fan. I think he's a good fighter. And I thought, apart from Callum, he was the next best out of the rest of the bunch. Still do believe that. And on the night, I don't know why. If you tell me I'm fighting someone, I'm going to big him up to be the best going. He's going to be the biggest puncher, the hardest. So I overestimated everyone because then when you get in, it's a nice surprise rather than a nasty surprise. And as a fighter, that's not what you do. On the night, I said this to Callum after, I was expecting just another little gear from him, from Buatsi, and he just couldn't find it. But that's because
he wasn't allowed to.
He wasn't allowed to. That's how good Callum is. And on his day, Callum, that's what he keeps saying, on my day, I know I can beat anyone. But I think in his next fight, without downplaying Buatsi at all, I respect him massively. I think Callum will probably be 15-20% better after doing.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you next.
At that pace.
I mean, I think Buatsi coming off the back of fighting Dan Aziz and Willie Hutchinson came into a fight against a world-class fight. Yeah. Well, but your brother's world level. Yeah. So it was a different animal. Where does he go next? I mean, I've heard Callum talking about fighting Badou Jack for the cruiserweights. I mean, I'd like to see him fight Benavidez. Wouldn't you?
I would love to see him fight Badou Jack because it's a winnable fight, and then you're going up to another division again. This is all about like legacies now, and you know he's achieved that. He's been that world champion. He's boxed the best pound for pound fighters. You go for him now going through Badou Jack timing on that, looking at it, you go, that is a brilliant move. I would love to see that. Benavidez is like that guy is being touted as the best in the division now. He's young, he's coming through, he's still,
But he might get a world title against Benavidez. If Beterbiev and Bivol gets made again, they might take one of the belts away because they can't hold him forever.
He gets a world title for Badou Jack, right?
I was talking with him.
Takes it off CBS.
I was talking with him and said the same thing. If you fight Benavidez, the pair is an interim champion. One of you are giving a lot up for not really much. It's mixed rewards, isn't it?
Yeah.
You both got an interim belt, which means you're next in line to fight the main ones. Yeah. But if you both fight each other, one of you are going to lose out.
Absolutely.
Unless it's something
Unless it's life, but they both want to be world champion. You're not going to be world champion by fighting each other, in my opinion.
So would you be advocating for him to fight for the cruiserweight?
No, I stay at light heavyweight. If whatever happens with the main two happens next, whether Bivol fights against Beterbiev again, which I can't see, he's going to have to fight his mandatories, whether he keeps them belts or whether that belt then gets upgraded to a full world champion, then you can defend that title. Yeah. And then maybe go for Badou Jack. But if he becomes a full world champion off the back of the Buatsi fight, then like I said before about Dubois, you couldn't really argue him as being a world champion after that win. The same with Dubois beating AJ for that belt. It was a worthy win of a world title. Then you could go up to cruiserweight and maybe fight Badou Jack. But it's a great position to be in.
Absolutely, and well deserved. And let me ask you about Liam. I mean, Liam's out on April 26th against Aaron McKenna. Unbeaten, Aaron McKenna. There's lots of fights for Liam still, isn't there?
Yeah, just depending on his injuries, that's what it was. And his injuries been great
against Eubank?
Against Eubank.
And the pull-out against Josh Kelly.
Anyone can see what happened. And it was a similar problem with his back with Josh Kelly. And I saw rumours, I had to mention something to, I think it was Addy off DAZN, like he said, he's pulled out something with his weight. And I just tweeted, look, he was injured and sick. He was full of flu for that. He got a really bad virus over in Dubai. He'd come home and he just couldn't get over it. It was COVID-like. He was really bad and his back was fine. It was okay. But Liam and the team around him, we obviously believe he's got more than enough to beat Adam McKenna. But Adam McKenna's team are really going to be fancying him going in this fight, thinking that they've caught Liam at the right time. He's a young, hungry, unbeaten fighter. He's young, fit, strong, you know, and we know them. They're nice lads. They're a really good family. And it's just business, obviously, but we obviously feel Liam has got a lot more, and I personally think Liam has got plenty left in the tank, and we'll see the best of him on April 26th.
Where are you on this, what I consider a little bit of a circus, and Hearn has a go at me about me being mean-spirited. It's two world-class fighters, not sure. Eubank Benn, the antics that have gone over the recent weeks, I know you've said that you don't like the idea of the board fining Eubank 100 grand, but on the overall parameters of what we've seen over the last 2 weeks, we know what's happened 2 years ago, but where we are now, what's your takeaway being about it all?
It's another one, isn't it? This fight's happening solely because of the parents, what they did back in the day, and I sat on a one-seated couch, the three of us, sweating hands, watching both fights back in the day.
So you're not in the camp that both of these boys deserve this kind of fight?
It's not whether they deserve the kind of fight. Look, I'm trying to be a bit diplomatic about it. If you can put asses on seats and you can fill that stadium with two fighters who hate each other, who can't stand each other, who have family history like that, you'd be a fool not to be a part of it or put it on or to put that on for the public. The public have shown that they want it. Everyone wants to see that fight. It's, for me, obviously, the fact that it's not a world title fight, is it? It's not a fight on that level.
Getting paid like one.
But they're getting paid like one because of, obviously, the influx of the money from Saudi, and that's how it is. And it's a fight that I'll be watching. I'll be there, obviously, on the night. But if it wasn't there,
what have you made of the antics?
I would be watching it.
What have you made of the antics? Do you think? I mean, I've
seen worse. I said about Chisora in throwing the table towards Dylan White. I was filming it. I was sitting in the front row of the press conference. I was at the press conference, and I was laughing and joking about it. And afterwards, it was okay. It was a bit of a rant by Chisora, but we expect that from Chisora. I'm not going to lie, when it happens, I laughed my head off. I absolutely laughed my head off.
I did too.
I thought it was quite poetic. I thought what happened was quite funny. It wasn't dangerous. It wasn't something that, like, I had someone, Nigel, saying I thought he glassed him. I can understand by the noise of it. Things happen fast in the heat of a moment. I get it. But afterwards, all's well that ends well, really. And it's created a lot more fuss about the fight, a lot more column inches, a lot more press and publicity. All publicity is good publicity. But then the board come in and think they can find a fight at £100,000 for it, and that's their prerogative, but it didn't sit right with me. With regards to the fight, I think it was what I said at the time. You know, it's a middleweight and a big middleweight against a welterweight, and it's not really that sort of safe, so to speak, at the start. Conor Benn's tried to move up in weight now. Eubank isn't what he was, and I'm not disrespecting him saying that. It's just a fact. So therefore, the fight is more even, in my opinion, because when the fight was first made, it was the easiest fight Eubank could have had.
I think Conor has been boxing at 154 as well. You know, they're talking about this two weight division jump, but 147, I don't think he's done that for over 3 years now. So it's sort of a little bit closer in weight than what it was. But Eubank is much bigger.
Where are you on Eubank, the fighter? I mean, I've been critical of him, not because I'm a never had the balls to put on gloves, but because I've always seen Chris come on shows talking about how much money he's made and what his house in Las Vegas is, and then this never-ending tale of he's going to fight for a world title and doesn't. And then I went back over the weekend and I watched the fights against Billy Joe Saunders, and I watched his fight against George Groves, and I think he can consider himself slightly unlucky in the Billy Joe Saunders fights.
Very unlucky.
And there was more to the fights than I perhaps give Chris credit to. You know, he's fighting. Some would say he should be fighting at 168, which is your old weight class. When you look at Eubank Jr. as a fighter, what comes to mind with you in terms of what he's done, what he could have done, and what he will do?
I've got probably a little bit more of insight because I've sparred him. I've been in England, I've sparred a fair few rounds with him. Yeah, and only over a week period, he come up to Jimmy, sparred with myself. He sparred with my brother Liam. That's where the story from the spar with Liam came, about Liam Ayton. He was in Manchester. He didn't speak much. Personally, you know, I bumped into him in an airport after he boxed Liam in Dubai. Gave him a hug, shook his hand. We both spoke. We laughed. We were on the same flight. It was nice to see him. There was respect there, but that's where it starts and ends really. But boxing wise, he's not bad. And when he was younger, he was better. I think now, I watched Liam distraught after his fight when he lost to him.
Yeah.
And Liam was saying, he's finished, and I've just made him look absolutely great. And it sickened Liam, I know it did, because he knows he can beat him. And I don't think that Eubank, compared to what he had when he was fighting the likes of Billy Joe Saunders and George Groves, and I don't think he has that left anymore personally in him. And whether he's got the desire
He's technically better though, isn't he?
He's technically probably, I don't know.
Than when he fought Billy Joe Saunders.
He should be. He should have improved from that loss. And Billy Joe Saunders was a very good fighter.
He was indeed,
He should have improved from that fight. He should have learned a lot from that fight. But you only learn and improve if you want to learn and improve. And I don't know whether he actually wants to, or whether he wants to just cash in, make as much money as he can, which he's making a very healthy amount on this fight, and then go and live the life that he wants to live. But as a fighter, he's a good fighter. He's awkward. He's a good fighter. I don't think he's a good boxer, if you know what I mean.
Right.
He's good at putting his head on your chest and fighting, and he can do that. I'd like to see more of that from him, especially in this fight. I hope he doesn't get on the back foot and try and box in this fight. I hope he tries to meet him head on.
Who do you think wins the fight?
I think Eubank should win, and should win relatively well. But as I say, stranger things happen in boxing, and it just depends on whether he really has got much left or not, Eubank, in my opinion.